This time I've got a little Sony XVM3. This is a little 3-inch LCD monitor that Sony was selling to the home video market to mount on top of your camcorder and use it as a little color display back in the days of the black and white viewfinders. Let's check it out. It's a little Sony XVM3. This was a little LCD monitor that was designed to be attached to camcorders so that you could view out in the field what you were filming, and apparently this one doesn't work. So the guy that owns just asked me if I could take a quick peek at it. So let's see what it is and it isn't doing. It operates with 5 AA batteries, 6.5 volts. So it says power on. Is it doing anything? Does anything light up? I don't see any light. There should be a backlight that comes on, and I see nothing. It also can use the sun as its light source. So if I shine a light on here and the display is working, I should see something on the screen, and I see nothing. Nothing showing up on the screen. So this one is totally dead. I wonder why. Let's just see whether this is something minor or whether this is something that is serious. We'll first check to see whether we've actually got any power getting to the unit. So the batteries will all be connected in series. We know it takes 6.5 volts, so I'm going to set my power supply to 6.5, and we know which one's the positive and negative because if I go through and check, you'll notice that these batteries here are connected in series. Therefore, that's negative and that's positive. So we can connect our power supply up to those terminals and see whether we're getting any power. This is just to make sure that the batteries are making a connection. So we connect our power supply up, set to 6.5 volts, and turn on the power. If there's a connection, we should see some light, which we don't. So therefore, the next step is to pop the unit open and see if there's a blown fuse or something obvious inside that's causing it to not work. So we'll remove a couple screws in the back and another screw here, and the back should lift off. It's almost like this shoe was an afterthought, isn't it? Like a plate on the bottom here. And this should lift out of here. And it says, for continued protection against fire, replace only with 1 amp 125 volt fuse. So there is a fuse in here somewhere. Let's find it. See if the fuse is popped. There'll be an inverter in here for the fluorescent backlight. One little screw here that holds this circuit board in place, and that'll lift out. Okay, what do we got on here? This is probably the power board here. I think this is the power connector. So this is going to be the power board, and it connects to the main board with this flexible cable. Sharp. Circuit board's made by Sharp. Sharp probably made this entire thing for Sony. Because back in the day they were one of the few companies, they were one of the pioneers of LCD technologies. So they made a lot of stuff. My ICOM ham radio has a 3-inch LCD screen on it that failed, and it was made by Sharp. I'm sure my little Panasonic TV is exactly the same. My little LCD Panasonic TV is probably a Sharp as well. F751, where is that? It's right down here. There's a fuse right down there. Let's just see if it's open or are good. It sounds like it's okay. It's hard to get a connection in there. Yeah, fuse is good. So it's not the fuse that's blown. It is the power connector damaged. Oh, there's two fuses in here. Let's check the other fuse. That one appears to be open. Nope, maybe not. No, that one appears to be open. Interesting. So 1 amp. We'll try that fuse and see whether it's the fuse, whether it comes on. I'm going to disconnect the front panel or the other board from this by just lifting up this connector and popping the board out or popping the connector open. I just don't want to damage the connector, so we'll remove the main board from the rest of it. Unplug the speaker. That way I can swing this little board out of the way and work on it and see if we can change that fuse. It's a 1 amp fuse. I'm not going to have one that's the same size, but I may have something I can put in there that's equivalent. It's open, as you can see. This one's good. This is a 1.5 amp fuse. Or it's both 1 amp fuses. That one's good. And this one is open. What I'm going to use, I'm going to use one strand. I'm just going to use one single strand of wire. That should be sufficient for a 1 amp fuse. We're talking low voltage here. We're not talking high voltage. So this should be more than sufficient to protect the unit. If it was the dead short, that would melt. Batteries would pop that in a split second. But at least it'll get us going, so we know whether the unit is functional at this point. And at that point, then I could order a little fuse in for this unit and put a new fuse in. But I don't have one. These little Pico fuses are not exactly cheap, and I don't have one. I don't even know where I could get one. I'd have to order one online somewhere. But to get one of these little fuses, then probably would end up costing like $20 for one of these little fuses. I kid you not, because ordering in small quantities is cost prohibitive a lot of times. But we want to see if this is going to work first. So we're just going to put a little piece of wire over top of this fuse and see whether that will make this one operational. Then we'll know if that's the only fault with it. Okay, we'll just reinsert the connector for the display. Close down the gate. Reconnect the power and the speaker. I just want to see if this thing turns on. Okay, will it turn on? We'll find out pretty quick. It's turned on. Will it display an image? Well, I guess I have to feed it an AV signal. Where are we going to find one of those, I wonder? Knowing Sony, it's using a special type of plug too, but maybe not. Maybe it's using just a conventional stereo cord. It probably is. Let's find a cord for it and just see whether it will display an image from a camera or something. So I'll just try a couple different adapters. I don't know I've got the right connector for this. Okay, that sounds like sound. I've got a couple of connectors that I can plug into this thing, but I don't know whether I've got one that's the right configuration for video. Knowing Sony, they're using their own proprietary. See if I can find another adapter and see if it'll give me any video. Looking at this board, it looks like one of these caps may have leaked a bit right here. It looks like there's some, could be some leakage on the board coming through right there. Just going to remove this one and see what we see on it. That's this cap. Top's not bulging or anything, but it looks like it may have been. Is that one? No, it's this one over here. Looks like it may have been leaking. This one right. That's the one. No, this one right here. Looks like it may have been leaking. Anyway, let's remove it and just take a look at it once it's out of the circuit. Something's been leaking onto this board, that's for sure. Oh yeah, this cap's been leaking. You see? So I wonder if it's internally shorted or whether it's just ESRs going through the roof. We'll take a look at it. How's this one looking? It's been leaking, so it's bad, but let's just see the ESR on this one is 0.7, so it's a little bit high, but again, it's been leaking. How about its neighbor? The neighbor also looks like it could be possibly spewing its guts. These plated boards are a pain in the ass to work on. You get the holes open so you can get a replacement part in. Sometimes is fun. There we go. New cap in. The other ones all looking good. I don't see any that are other ones that are leaking or see any that are bulging. But we'll try this one and see whether we get any video. Connect everything up again and see whether I get any different results this time. I connect this up to my power supply and just give it 6.5 volts, limited to 1 amp. I think that'll probably be pretty safe. I limit my power supply down to 1 amp maximum. Okay, it lights up. What I don't know is that I'm going to get any video when I plug in, and I don't know whether I've got the right adapter here. That's the problem, is that Sony quite often used their own standard for their AV inputs, so I don't know whether this one's going to do the job or not, but we'll see. Make sure nothing's shorting out. And power. I guess that's audio. We'll try one of the other inputs. How about this one? Don't see any picture. How about that one? Still don't see a picture. But what I don't know is what is what. I don't know whether this adapter, this is from a Samsung TV, whether this is the same pinout that the cable uses for this TV. Let's just see what the pinout is on this. Ground. So probably the red. The yellow is this one. The tip is the yellow. Ring 2 is the red. Ring 3 is the white. It's probably this one. But what I don't know is whether ground is ground on this. So let me just plug this in and just see what measures through. Does ground measure through to ground? Let's find out. Does not appear to. So the white one, that measures through the ground. This is not ground. Right? That's not ground. It's the tip here is ground. So I wonder if this one doesn't work. Let's just try a different cable. Let's just see what this one is. This is probably the same. I think this is probably configured the same way. Ground, right? And the white one is, or is it the red one? On this one. That one, the red one's ground. The white one is that one. And the yellow one is that. But we know that on this plug, the ground is this one here. And on this connector, that is ground. We need a stereo plug. Let's see if I can find one. So the only thing that's working on this is the backlight. There's no attempt at any type of video. So this is going to be another write-off. The guy that owns it doesn't want to spend any money. I don't blame him. It's not worth anything. It's just kind of, will it turn on? Well, it will, but it won't do anything. So I think we're probably going to be writing this one off too. I know this is going to upset people, but these things just are not worth fixing. But I figured you guys might like to take a look inside one. I did change that cap on there. It made no difference, so it's not the cap that's causing it, and the others all test fine. This is just the power supply for the backlight anyway. Video signals will be passed over to the TV board here. This is the electronics that drive the LCD is all on this board. In fact, that's where a tuner would go for a TV version. A tuner would go on there. It's even marked as tuner. So all the circuitry for the display is on this board, not this one. This is just the power supply for the backlight. The other video board pops out right there. This is the main video board. You should see it's connected by this flat flex cable to the power board, and then there's another flex cable here. This is a sharp panel. It says sharp right on it. And that's what connects to the actual panel itself, which is through this flex cable. Don't have any manual or anything for this, so couldn't tell you what's wrong with it. It's not working. Not worth fixing. Got a little mini fluorescent lamp here in that backlight, that reflector. Very similar to my little Panasonic that used a similar backlight. So I put the unit back together, and see, it doesn't work. It just gets a blank screen. I'm feeding it color bars right now, but as you can see, there's nothing there. I'll put the knobs back on the top after pulling the board out. Knobs just pop in. You can see where the antenna would have gone there. It's got a cover over it, but that's where the telescopic antenna would have gone for the TV version of this. And I'm convinced that this is probably the same or very, very similar to the little Panasonic that I've got that has the tuner built in, because I'm sure it was the same panel made by Sharp. Okay, anyway, it's back together. Remove the batteries from it and send it back to the guy that owns it, because he's just keeping this thing. It's more of a collector's item for something that he had way back when he was doing video on like high-end equipment. This was an accessory that made shooting a little bit easier. Didn't make focusing any easier though, because these were not very high resolution. But anyway, there it is, XVM3 little Sony monitor for camcorders. Back together, not worth fixing. Thanks for watching.